Rise, please. America, and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. No, I think we'll go with the hearing. We have a public hearing tonight to consider a special exception.
Supervisor
Yeah,
Vecchio?
here.
Councilman McCarthy?
Here.
Councilman Wareheim?
Here.
Councilman Creighton?
Here.
Councilman Malloy?
Yeah, here.
Town Board to consider a special exception petition is submitted by Site Tech Wireless for a special exception to replace the existing pole with a 170-foot monopole and install public utility wireless telecommunication antenna on that pole and install related ground equipment on property located at 85 Old Northport Road in Kings Park. Someone here for the applicant?
Yes, Mr. Supervisor, Lawrence Ray of Ray Nielsen, Huber, and Coghlan for the applicant. As the board is aware, this is an application to erect a public safety and telecommunications pole at the municipal service facility on Old Northport Road in the community facility zoning district. The pole is needed for public safety communication purposes for the town of Smithtown. And in addition, it will be installed in such a way as to allow T-Mobile and other carriers to co-locate their antennas inside the pole. The public service use will require that antennas be installed on the top for various town agencies for communication purposes. The site doesn't meet some of the setback requirements, even though the lot is 86 acres, because the location on the lot was chosen by the town so as to not interfere with the town work on the site. And so for that purpose, we asked for a waiver as to the setbacks. I do have a few documents I'd like to hand up. One is an appraisal consulting report dated March 24th, prepared by Lynch Appraisal Limited. And one is a planning, zoning, and visual impact analysis, March 2011, prepared by VHB Engineering. So I'd like to hand those up.
Sure.
I do have various experts here available should the board have any questions regarding the facility, although I know that the board is quite familiar with it. It was the subject of an RFP quite some time ago.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Does anybody in the audience wish to be heard on this matter? Yes, ma'am. You come up, give me your name. State your name and address, please, and you'll be limited to 3 minutes, ma'am.
Okay. My name is Diane Librera. I live at 4 Mare Lane, and I have a letter that was written from my neighbor who lives across the street from me. He couldn't be here tonight, but I think he put it into the words that everybody in our area would want to say. We are writing this letter to voice our concerns over the town's plan to install a 170-foot monopole and public utility wireless telecommunications related ground equipment at 85 Old Northport Road. We are vehemently opposed to the installation of the cell tower and additional equipment in this area. Not only will the tower be an eyesore, it may pose health problems to our family, especially our young growing children. We are already exposed to enough toxins from the multiple dumps and landfills that are so close to our home. We do not need additional hazards in our backyard. We also do not need the additional noise and lights that will be created by the addition of this tower. Noise pollution has been shown to cause stress and sleep disturbances, and in children chronically exposed to noise pollution, studies have shown significantly lower math and reading scores. Light pollution also causes sleep disturbances, waste energy, and also block our view of the beautiful night sky. In addition to possible health risks and hazards, installation of said cell phone tower will once again reduce our already shrinking and sinking property values. There have been numerous studies that prove installation of cell phone towers in or near residential neighborhoods decrease property values by as much as 20%. This negative effect can also contribute to urban blight and deterioration of neighborhoods and school districts when residents want to move out or pull their children out because they don't want to live or have their children attend schools next to a cell tower. There is no valid reasons for this equipment to be installed. It is doubtful that you will find too many area residents who have dropped calls from their cell phone carrier. This largest tower is not needed in this area. There is a burden of proof to be met by the applicant that a truly significant gap of coverage actually exists in the proposed area. If they have done so, I find it hard to believe. There are too many negative effects and not enough positive effects that can come from the placement of this tower. We urge you to find another location far away from the residential areas of the placement of this tower. Diane Librera, Eric W. Schaefer, and Laurie Schaefer.
Do you want to submit that to me? We'll put it part of the record.
Sure.
Thomas, I can't read it. Is it Malave? Thank you.
I would like to know, I also am a neighbor of 4 Mare Lane. I'm 23 Pine Tree Court. And I've spoken to many of my neighbors. None of them has received any notification other than the one other person in the room tonight. So, I mean, I received a certified letter. People right next door to me knew nothing about it. So I would say before this decision is made, I think you should give the community an ample chance to investigate what it is. The way the letter was sent, it was very hard to understand exactly where they're going to put it. It's a big site, and I think it needs more time and more study for the people of the neighborhood to understand what's going on.
Mr. Ray, do you have the copies of the certifications on the letters?
I handed them out.
Do you have those, Mr. Clerk?
The letters were sent out.
And the letters are sent out within a 200-foot radius of the
How many feet?
site. The letters, by law, have to be sent to a radius of, up to the residents within 200-foot radius of the pole.
But
So-
do you find it strange that there's only 2 people from the neighborhood here?
No,
You don't find that strange?
no.
Well, here, Mr. Supervisor, we have it, you know,
Can you tell me how many people signed the certification that they received the letter?
The Pine Tree Court people have been notified. He has all of the certificates that indicate the mailings took place.
That's not what the neighborhood is saying.
Okay. We'll take that into consideration.
And can you, okay.
Thank you. Mr. Petter, I can't read the last name. Anthony? 3 Pimlico Court. Well, no, it's not a question. I do very well with syllables. It's just I can't read your writing.
Are you Italian? I received a letter in the mail, and my next-door neighbor,
Would you
Bernard
just give me the first
Samos.
reading,
Excuse me?
your first 3 letters of your name? The first 3 letters of your last name.
A-N-T. Oh, last name P-U-T.
Okay. Putigano.
Putagano, yeah.
Okay. I did okay, didn't I?
I'll give you an A for that. I received a letter in my mailbox the other day, and my neighbor Bernard Samos, and I'm sure people on Pimlico Court have done it. Let me explain something to you about radiation. I was down at World Trade Center for 31 years as the senior electrician. I'm certified in radiation. When we went up, when they put the tower up for the channels, you know, CBS and everything like that, we had to take courses in this because the radiation kept through the air. Every time we had to go up there to investigate some problem up there electrically and stuff like that, we had to suit up, mask, the whole ball of wax. And the way you're going to do this situation, you're just going to put a tower up and spread that radiation throughout the whole area. I couldn't tell you at this time where it's going to be, how far it'll expand out and stuff like that. I have a grandson, 6 years old. The people around me have children in kindergarten, first grade, second grade, third grade, in that whole area, including Kings Park. And you're going to breathe that in, and I've seen it so many times, radiation and these children coming down with cancer. And it's got to stop. You want to put it up? Put it up over here where the commercial is. Right over here where it's not residential, commercial. Thank you very much.
Bernie, I'm sorry, I can't read the writing. Bernie? Oh, Simoes. Okay, thank you, sir. James Amato, 16 Pimlico.
I'm sorry, I also have a question too. Is SiteTech Wireless here tonight or just their attorney?
Well, the attorney is here, plus he has experts who will answer any questions.
Okay, then I'll try to be brief. The gentleman who spoke earlier regarding SiteTech alluded to a safety concern as the primary reason for this tower. I would, as a resident of Pimlico Drive around the corner, I'd like to know specifically more details about what safety is today being compromised in my neighborhood that this cell tower would actually provide for, or once again, is just this a guise for a profit motive to, lease the space to additional cellular companies, where right now, my neighbors and I don't have any issue with cell phone coverage.
Mr. Ray, would you like to respond to that?
Thank you.
There may be some misunderstanding as to where the tower is going to be located. It's toward the northern end of the property line. In fact, it's 1,260 feet north of the southern end of the property line. And so it's well over 1,300 feet to the nearest residence to the south and over 1,000 feet to the nearest residence to the north. The pole is going to house several antennas to be used by the town of Smithtown for public safety, by the highway department, and by other town agencies. The need for the antennas on the top of the tower are so that the communications for public safety can reach eastward to the Maple Avenue tower. Otherwise, there are gaps in the town's public safety network. But the site has been chosen, the location of the site was chosen by the town to be as far away from residents as possible, and it's well over 1,000 feet to the nearest house.
Thank you.
Okay, so just to elaborate, it's more for like public works of the town as opposed to safety. I heard about gaps regarding town trucks and maybe Smithtown Public Safety, which I believe you have 8 rangers on staff for Smithtown Public Safety and not necessarily Suffolk County Police or a fire responder or other emergency services. Is that correct?
Well, it's going to be primarily used for the communications between town vehicles.
Town vehicles.
That would be public safety, be highway vehicles, et cetera.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you. Howard Needleman.
Hi, I'm a resident of Pimlico Court, and I also did not receive a notification certified in the mail. Why or how was a 200-foot radius selected when the attorney just said that there wasn't a home within 1,000 feet?
Go ahead, Frank.
I'll answer that. My name is Frank Derubis. I'm the Director of Planning. The reason, there's 2 different measurements here. We measure from the edge of the property line, the 200 feet from the edge of the property line. Not, what the applicant was talking about was how far the antenna is to the nearest resident. So we draw a radius, and there's a map here in the file, as well as a listing that's prepared by the assessor's office, which we're required to keep on record, which is some of the documents you are entitled to examine, which shows all the residents that are within 200 feet. Those return receipts are given to the town clerk, which records them. Not everybody in Pimlico Court is within 200 feet of this particular, of the site itself.
Are there any schematics, drawings of how tall this tower will be on the site, how far it will be able to be seen, things of that nature?
Mr. Ray?
Ray, would answer that.
Yes, we've submitted to the town drawings and exhibits showing a site
Get a mic,
plan,
get a mic.
showing on the site plan where the tower would be located. And as I said, it will be towards the northern end of this 86-acre lot. And the pole itself the photo simulations, we had a series of photo simulations taken to show what the pole would look like from various vantage points. We've submitted those. If the board would like, we can display them in our presentation. But from the distance down in Pimlico Court, which is about 1,200 or 1,300 feet from the proposed pole, it would be barely visible on the horizon. But I can
Well,
bring...
as a resident of 2 Pimlico Court, I'll tell you that right now, when I have young children, 10 and 6, we're subjected to the sights and the smells of all of the commercial properties. We're subjected to the lights of the ball fields on Old Comac Road and the Flynn Park. And this is yet just another example of the town dumping things in our backyard, which is inappropriate to our neighborhood and to our children.
Is Pimlico Court in New England Village?
Excuse me? No, Pimlico Court is off of Old Comac Road. It's in,
South of where the recycling facility is?
it's,
South. It's by Pine Tree, okay. Thank you. Adele Flicker?
Good evening. First, I want to say I agree with the Schaefer letter, totally. They were my words almost exactly as I was going to say tonight, so there's no sense to reiterate it. You've already heard it. From what I understand, the tower will be placed 1,000 feet in one direction to residential homes and 1,300 feet to other area. Am I correct in that? Did I understand that correctly?
I think he said 1,200, not 13.
Okay, is that correct?
1,200.
Okay.
Just to be, it's exactly 1,260 feet to the southern property line of this lot, and then beyond that is Pine Tree Court.
Okay, well, you're also saying it's supposed to communicate with the tower on Maple Avenue. Is that Maple Avenue in Smithtown?
Yes?
I believe that's more than 1,300 feet. In fact, I think it's a couple of miles away.
Yes.
So if you expect that to reach that area, that means everybody in that distance will be getting some kind of radiation. So you have to go back and figure out your figures.
Well, let me just say this, and I'm not expert on the matter. The federal government says that there is no radiation from cell towers, and there's never been any proof that there was radiation from cell towers. That's what I've known.
Okay, well,
And
Nassau
Mr. Ray can
County...
address that, if you like.
Nassau County is fighting, had fought a tower being put up in an area. New Jersey was fighting an area, when a tower being put up just for that reason. I live on Pimlico Drive. I do not want an eyesore in my neighborhood. I do not want to have radiation. I had cancer already because I live in an area in Comac where almost everybody on the block had some kind of cancer. So I don't need something else coming into my neighborhood. Also, like was said before, we have a ball field, we had the dumps, we have an incinerator. That's enough. We want to get our neighborhood back. And if you have any thoughts about it, come and see where we live and see if you want to put a house there yourself. I bet you 2 to 1 that you don't want to live in that area.
But I will say, Mrs.
Flicker.
Flicker, that there were no more dumps. There haven't been dumps since 1992.
I understand
And
that.
and that's, so, but you say need a dump, and there is no dump.
But now they want to change the area. They want to change the light from light trucking to heavy trucking. So we
No,
have a problem with
not that I-
trucking now. Instead of being on Indian Head Road, they're going down Town Line Road. The whole area is being affected by everything in the area. We do not need another thing added. And please reconsider, there are a lot of people here, and because the letter came out in our mailboxes today, I received it at 4:30. I made sure I was here because this is something I care very deeply about and very strongly about. And if you want to be constituents, represent your constituents, that's something you have to take into consideration, how we feel and how we want to live and have our kids grow up without cancer. And thank you very much for your
Thank
time.
you.
I appreciate it.
Okay, that concludes the people who wish to be heard on the subject. Mr. Ray, did you want to say something further?
I'll be very brief, but there were several issues that were raised by the residents, and I just wanted to address them. One was noise and light pollution. There will be no noise emanating from the site that would reach a distance of 1,000 feet, so there will be no effect in noise. With respect to sound, we have written to the Federal Aviation Administration, and we have approval that the tower would not have to be lighted, so there'll be no lighting that would affect the residents over 1,000 feet away, and I'll submit that. And with respect to visual impact, we did have photo simulations prepared. We submitted packets to the board showing photo simulations and virtually no visual impact at such a great distance to the residences. Yeah, we do have those photo simulations, and I'd be happy to display them so that everyone in the audience can see them. So why don't we have...
And could you just address the radiation? I'm sure you're more...
Yes, and I also...
more expert than I am.
We'll have, we have an expert who prepared a report and a study to study the emissions from the tower, and I'll bring him up also. So I'll have the two people, one for the visual impact and one for the emissions. First, why don't we do the visual impact first? Aaron,
Okay.
why don't you come up and identify yourself? And I'll hand in the FAA report.
Good evening. My name is Erin Duffy Echeverria. I'm from VHB Engineering Survey and Landscape Architecture with offices on Joshua's Path and Hop Hog.
Aaron, did you have photographs taken from various vantage points surrounding this 86-acre parcel?
Yes, we did.
And could you describe the process that was utilized to create the photo simulations?
Absolutely. My firm worked with Creative Visuals. They're a firm that has, I believe, 14 years of experience doing photo simulations of public utility facilities. What they did was put a crane at the subject site, and they put flags at the top of the crane. The crane was elevated to 135 feet. Unfortunately, it was extremely windy that day and could not be lifted to the 170, but the 135-foot reference was then used to judge where 170 feet would be in the photographs. And then the simulations show what the 170-foot pole would look like. We did photographs from both the residential areas to the north and to the south of the site.
Okay. And why don't we, I know some members of the public would like to take a look at these, so if you could review them one by
Sure.
one.
The first photo simulation is near the driveway of 60 Winnecomack Circle, which is roughly 1,200 feet north of the proposed facility location. It's showing the entire facility. You're seeing the proposed unipole as well as the whips on the top. The wireless antennas are concealed within the pole, so you see just a white pole. The first photographic simulation illustrates a portion of a residential property with the associated driveway. The photographic simulation shows that the top of the proposed concealment pole would be visible from this location through treetops. However, it would be highly obscured, and in the blooming season would be very likely that you wouldn't see the pole at all from this area. The second photo simulation is from across the driveway from 11 Mare Lane, which is 1,300 feet south-southeast of the proposed facility location. This simulation also shows residential areas and the mature vegetation which is visible to the north. The photo simulation again indicates that the proposed concealment pole would be visible, however, antennas would be concealed within, and it would be largely obscured by the existing vegetation. Viewpoint C is from 7 Pine Tree Court, which is roughly 1,300 feet south of the proposed facility location. From this location, you're looking at mature vegetation along the north side of Pine Tree Court, and you're also looking at portions of the John J. Flynn Memorial Park. Again, the proposed facility would be visible. However, you're looking at the concealment pole. The wireless antennas would not be visible from the outside. And given the vantage point, the facility would be largely obscured by vegetation that was in bloom. The final simulation is from 3 Pine Tree Court, which is roughly 1,500 feet southwest of the proposed facility location. This photo simulation shows portions of the John J. Flynn Memorial Park. The photo simulation shows that the proposed concealment pole would be visible from this location, but would in fact appear to be visually similar from the existing light poles. It would also conceal the antennas within, and there would be very minimal impact from this location. Overall, based on the photo simulations, VHB has determined that there would be very little visual impact based on this proposed facility.
Mr. Ray, at the termination of this hearing, would you have those photos out there so the residents might look at it?
I'd be happy to.
Thank you.
And thank you, Aaron.
We have one other speaker.
Yeah,
Wait, 1 second.
okay, with respect to emissions, if you give your name and address.
Good evening. Dave Collins, last name spelled C-O-L-L-I-N-S. I work for a company called Pinnacle Telecom, and we specialize in assessing FCC compliance with the rules and regulations concerning radio frequency exposure.
And FCC meaning Federal Communications?
Yes, sir.
Mr. Collins, did you prepare a study with respect to emissions in the surrounding area?
Yes, we did.
And what was the result of your study?
I'll preface that by saying that the FCC sets a standard for maximum permittable radio energy levels. That level itself is exceedingly small. It also provides a mathematical engineering formula that we use in order to determine the level, which we then compare to the maximum permitted level. The methodology in that math formula is also very conservative in that all resultant calculations from it are worst case, as bad as it could possibly get. In this particular case, T-Mobile is the proposed applicant,
Carrier.
or the tenant on the pole, so to speak. But we did a absolute worst case scenario based on all the carriers that could fit on this on the pole itself. In which case there are 6 additional, and in addition to that, we added the local public safety people. All right, the municipal powers. All right, so just to double check, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. A total of 8. Okay, 8 different carriers, and of one of which is the municipal people. And we made the calculations, and the maximum at any level, and this the FCC recommends, by the way, it's only necessary to do it out to 500 feet. Beyond 500 feet, the numbers drop off precipitously. They don't gain. As with anything, as a flashlight would be flashed at you 500 feet away, it's much dimmer than up close. Same thing with radio waves. They diminish over distance. But at any rate, in this particular case, with all of those carriers and the municipality radio running simultaneously at their maximum output, the calculated value based on a percentage of the whole, with 100% being the maximum, anything below that would be lawful. We came up with 2.2717%. That's 44 times below a conservative level, and it puts us in complete compliance. As a brief aside, because that might sound like all scientific mumbo-jumbo, let's apply it to everyday stuff. There's a law of physics that says anything that has a moving electron in it, That's the lights in this room, the microphone I'm speaking into, human beings for that matter, because our neurological network works on electrical impulse, that's moving electrons. Anytime there's a moving electron, there is a resultant radio wave. So that everything in here that's electrical, us included, is emitting a form of radio energy. Just no different from what comes out of an antenna, less so. We have my firm, Pinnacle Telecom, has been asked on numerous occasions to measure the interior of people's homes, private residences, whether it's a home or an apartment, a condo, in order to determine the levels, because it was a cell site going up in the area and people expressed their concern. And we have done so. The average level inside a house is pretty much confined to the high level, not the average level. The highest level in the house is generally confined to the kitchen, the high preponderance of electrical stuff. The levels in the kitchen that we've measured over time, we've been doing this for 11 years, and we've done several hundred homes. It runs 3 to 7% of the same limit we applied to these antennas. And bear in mind, this is with all 7 carriers plus the municipality up. We're only at 2.2. Your kitchen's minimum level is 3. And your kitchen is not an issue. It's not a cause for concern because it's still well below the prescribed maximum level that the federal government has set up for us.
Thank you, Mr. Okay. And again, we'll make these available to
Okay.
the residents.
Mrs. D. Kosick? Did I say that correctly?
Carthage, that's pretty good, sir. Just a quick question. Could this be on state property?
You mean, could the pole
Pole,
go?
yeah.
Well, no, the application is on town property.
But could it be?
Oh, I don't know.
Sunken Meadow has hundreds of acres. Would
Well-
it be possible? I'm just thinking, you know, and many of them are vacant, never used. Is it beyond the reach of the sound, of the waves?
I don't know the answer because I'm not an expert in it, so I don't know.
No,
how to
I was
answer
just
that.
thinking.
But I would tell you, my first thought would be that that's considered parkland and it may be.
Right, I'm aware of that.
Yeah,
That's why I'm
so
saying,
that might be a prohibition, I do not know.
I was just thinking, you know, hundreds of acres there. And many of them, you know, most of them are not used. And it's
But
away from.
we also have to remember that this replaces, how tall is the pole that's there now, Mr. Ray, do you know?
No, there's only a pole at the highway yard, and it's a lot lower.
Okay,
But this is an 86-acre parcel.
yes.
But that's hundreds of acres, and it's away from everybody. But just a thought.
Okay,
Thank you so much, sir.
thank you. Sure, well, you gotta come up to the microphone, tell us your name again, and then raise your question.
Again, my name is Howard Needleman. I have a question for the gentleman who just spoke from the FCC Corporation. I understand that you're talking about guidelines within reasonable use, but I don't stand in my kitchen 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, and yet you're going to be subjecting me to this radiation.
Mr. Needleman, would
24
you
hours.
lift up the mic because this is all getting recorded?
I said, I do not stand in my kitchen 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, 365 days a year, and yet the numbers that you just gave to us are going to be radiation that's going to be emitting 7 days a week, 24 hours a day, 365 days a year. It's just common sense that if you have a potential for danger, you should avoid it at any cost, even if you think it is negligible. For those who are affected by that negligible danger, it's best not to expose oneself to it, particularly the young children in that community, the school districts and the school buildings in that area. And the community went through this before when you were talking about putting a refinery in the neighborhood. What was it? The what?
Power plant.
The generating system. And it was rejected for these very same reasons. So why would you subject our children and our
Are you
schools
talking
to
about
this
a
as
power
well?
plant that was proposed?
Yes.
Okay. Well, don't get angry, I'm asking you a question.
Well, you're the ones who vote on this, not me.
Well, I
I mean,
can tell you-
let's let this room vote, and we'll vote.
Wait, we can't have everybody speaking out one at a time, please. Did you want to be heard in the back, sir? Yes, please. I can't answer your question. I don't know the answer to that question.
Well, do we get to vote on whether or not this is permissible in our neighborhood?
No.
Okay, so that's why I'm upset.
And I agree with him 100%. I found out about this at 4:30 also. Richard Perano of 32 Winnecomack Circle. This will actually be in my backyard. So it affects me more than probably all these people. I mean, to put something like that in a residential area is insane. Our taxes pay for us to live there. We have a dump, and whoever says there's no dump needs to go take a ride down there, because they're using that dump again. And the smell has come last summer over again in the winter. The dump is active.
How do you spell your last name?
Piraino.
Okay.
And no one's going to tell me that's in my backyard, that there's not dump trucks dumping in there. It's above the tree line. You're laughing.
Yes, because
Come to my house.
there is no, the only dumping there or transfer is of leaves. There is no
So that's not a
garbage-
dump? I don't understand.
No, it's a
So-
transfer station. Dumping means usually a hole in the ground. The leaves are placed
Listen,
there.
when I bought the house,
Allow me to
excuse me one
allow me to
second, let me finish.
Okay.
When I bought the house 5 years ago, there was nothing there. Now they're putting it again, and it's higher than the tree level. If you'd like to come to my house, I'll show you, and you can tell me there's no dump. A dump is a dump if it's garbage or if it's trees or if it's leaves.
Okay.
True?
No, I disagree.
Okay. So we should put the cell tower in your backyard
You
then?
can do that.
Okay, so then let's meeting adjourned then.
Oh, okay. Okay, so everybody has heard, and I'll move to close the meeting.
Second.
Would you like to speak again? Yes.
Please give me your street name, your name and your street address, please, again.
Adele Flicker, 20 Pimlico Drive. Couple of things. First of all, you're talking about the trees in the area. This is 170 feet. I don't know how tall the trees are, but I don't think they're close to that. My whole backyard is covered with trees, and I can see into the cemetery from my backyard, which is not that close to it's a couple of houses away. So, and it's not nearly as high as a 170-foot pole. The other thing is, when you say that we don't have a dump anymore, that doesn't leave it open to put something else, like a pole with radiation. We've already paid our debt, our dues. Leave us alone and go somewhere else with it. And I think the idea of not being able to put it on a state park, I'd like to know the reasoning for that, if you're going to put an extra residential housing. If it's dangerous to be in a park, and if that's their reasoning, then it definitely is unreasonable to put it in our area. Thank you very much.
Thank you. I'll move to close the meeting.
Mr. Supervisor,
Yes.
just respond and then.
Sure.
I just wanted to summarize the fact that the proposed site is going to be unmanned. It will not produce odors. It will not produce unwarranted lighting. It will not produce noise. It will have virtually no visual impact, as the photo simulations show. It will be 44 times lower than the FCC limit, and as the board knows, the Telecommunications Act governs that, and it's actually outside the purview of the town with respect to emissions. And with respect to siting, the site has to be located in the general vicinity of this location for both public safety and also for wireless telecommunications carriers, because there is a service gap in this particular area. And those antennas operate at such a low power level that they only cover a very small area. In fact, each carrier on Long Island has well in excess of 450 to as many as 600 sites in Nassau and Suffolk counties. So there are sites in just about every neighborhood. They are located on hospitals. They're even located at the Cold Spring Harbor Labs, where they study cancer. Right outside the window of those who study cancer, they have no problem with it. So it has actually, this site will have virtually no effect on the public in a negative way, and yet it will assist the town government to provide good public safety communications and other town departments to have better communications. And killing two birds with one stone, it will also eliminate the proliferation of other towers, because if wireless carriers have a need for a site in the area, they can house their antennas inside without having to put up another tower that would have some kind of a visual impact closer to homes. And so for that reason, we request that the board approve. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Ray. Will you be available for folks if they want to talk
Absolutely.
outside?
I will.
Thank you. I'll move to close the meeting.
Second. Supervisor Vecchio?
Yes.
Councilman McCarthy?
Yes.
Councilman Wareham?
Yes.
Councilman Creighton?
Yes.
Councilman Malloy?
Yes.
Okay, the second public hearing is to consider a special exception as submitted by Amber Court Realty for a special exception for the construction of an assisted living facility on property located on the west side of Lake Avenue in Esconset. Someone here on behalf of the applicant?
Can you just give me a minute here to set
Sure,
up?
sure. Oh, my God. You see, the problem here with this next application is about the height. Now, they came in.
And basically, we must approve. Right?
Yeah.
So how are you? No. And verify. No, it's way outside. It's way, it's past Flint, it's way south of Flint, Boston.
All set? Okay. Okay. Good evening, Mr. Supervisor, members of the board. My name is Anthony Guardino. I'm a partner with the law firm of Farrell Fritz in Uniondale. I represent Amber Court at Suffolk LLC. They are the applicant and the contract vendee. They're before this board tonight seeking a special exception to construct a 3-story, 90,000 square foot assisted living facility in Nesconset. I have with me tonight
Could
as
I
co-
interrupt you, Mr.
Yes, sure.
Guarino?
Yes, sure.
I think it's important for the planning director to explain to the folks out in the audience what a special exception is.
Okay.
If you don't mind.
That's fine.
Mr. Supervisor, members of the public, what is before the board this evening is what is referred to as a special exception, or under state law, it's referred to as a special use permit. This is specified under state law, and the state law that's applicable is what is known as town law. The particular section is Section 274B. And I'll read part of the law, and then I'll explain what that law is, what that part of the law is actually saying. Under the definition of what is a special exception, it says, as used in this section, the term special use permit shall mean an authorization of a particular land use which is permitted in a zoning ordinance or local law, subject to requirements imposed by such a zoning ordinance or local law, to assure that the proposed use is in harmony with such zoning ordinance or local law and will not adversely affect the neighborhood if such requirements are met. And then it goes on to note that the town board may specify those conditions by way of ordinance, and that's what we will be discussing later. Not to confuse the public as to what has happened, as part of this law, it also goes on to states that notwithstanding any provision of law to the contrary, where the proposed special use permit contains one or more features which do not comply with the zoning regulations, applications may be made to the Zoning Board of Appeals for an area variance pursuant to Section 267B of this article, without the necessity of a decision or determination of an administrative official charged with enforcement of the zoning regulation. What this means is that the applicant will testify tonight as to whether or not they meet the conditions as specified by the town board. If they don't meet one or more of those conditions, then the applicant only opportunity is to obtain a variance for that particular requirement, and that is given by the Board of Appeals. So the procedure this evening is to have a public hearing on a permitted use, and what will be the subject matter is the conditions that are specified in the ordinance, and the applicant must testify as to whether or not they meet those conditions. That is the subject of the public hearing. Mr. Supervisor, that
Well, I
concludes my
just
report.
want to emphasize that in a special exception, if the applicant meets all the conditions of the special exception, the town board cannot deny that application?
That is correct.
Okay. Go ahead, Mr. Guerrero. No, it is not. Go ahead.
Okay, thank you. I have with me tonight David Mamina, who is the project architect. He's setting up the boards here on the easel. Also Richard Ignatow, who is a landscape architect who was retained by Amber Court. I have Raphael Weiss and Robert Schneider, who are also principals of Amber Court. Just by way of some background, Amber Court Assisted Living Facilities are family-owned and operated. Alfred and Judith Schoenberger, who are both present tonight, have been providing quality care to seniors since 1968. The Amber Court community is now comprised of a second generation of family members, Mr. Weiss and Mr. Schneider, whose mission is to preserve and to continue the legacy that the Schoenbergers had set. Amber Court currently operates facilities in Westbury, New York, Pelham Gardens, Brooklyn, and Elizabeth, New Jersey. Also want to point out that the Amber Court family is very community-minded. They are very active in the communities where they have facilities. They support local organizations, they support local activities, and they have every intention of doing so in the Nesconset area and in Smithtown generally, if this application is approved and they're able to operate the facility. I have submitted affidavits of posting with photos. I have presented presentation booklets, which I'd like to introduce into evidence if we could.
It's in evidence.
Okay, great. And then the rendered site plans and floor plans and drawings and whatnot, they also should be in the record. The subject property is 6.73 acres in size. It's comprised of an assemblage of 3 parcels located on the west side of Lake Avenue and on the north side of Park Avenue in Nesconset. The relative location of the parcel is found at Exhibit 1 in your booklet. You'll see an aerial photograph there. There's also a street map, and there's a tax map that's highlighted, shows the parcels that are in question. The first parcel is 130 Lake Avenue. That's 2.7 acres in size. It's currently developed with it was a single-family home, is now the home of the Knights of Columbus of Smithtown. 132 Lake is located to the south of that parcel that I just identified. That parcel is 2.3 acres in size, currently developed with a 2-story single-family residence, associated driveway, a lawn area, a shed, and a corrugated metal warehouse. Originally, Amber Court submitted an application for just to build a facility just on these 2 parcels because they totaled 5 acres in size, which is a requirement. That application was reviewed preliminarily by the planning staff. At the time, planning staff encouraged the applicant to see if they could acquire additional property. In the staff's mind, and we think they were absolutely correct, it would make for a better application from a planning perspective. The applicant took that to heart, suspended the application they had made, spent some time trying to acquire the parcel that's off of Park Avenue, and they added it to the parcel, and then we're back here again. That new parcel is 1.7 acres in size, and that's currently developed with a vacant one-story single-family residence and associated in-ground swimming pool and with paved and landscaped areas. You can see now on the survey the 3 lots that comprise the subject property. There's also photographs of the subject property attached as Exhibit 5. Those are the structures that currently exist on the property. In the town of Smithtown, an assisted living facility is permitted by special exception, as was mentioned, in the light industry and the R10 zoning districts. And the reason why I say both, because a part of the Park Avenue site is actually zoned R10, and another part of it is zoned LI. The light industry district permits a variety of industrial uses, office uses, and commercial uses, including wholesale distribution centers, warehouses, truck stations, all of which would generate significant truck traffic and noise, and in my opinion would be much more objectionable than the assisted living facility that's being proposed. It's important to note that single-family homes are not permitted in the LI district. We have heard from some residents who would like to see this property developed with single-family homes. It's not zoned for single-family homes, so that would not be an option under the current zoning. The district also permits hospital and nursing homes by special use permit from the town board. And it's also significant to note that with respect to these uses, these facilities could be deemed public or semi-public buildings, which are permitted to be, with the appropriate setbacks, to be a maximum of 50 feet in height. So if this were a nursing home or an affiliate of a hospital, we wouldn't be asking for any relief in the form of height. So this could be a 50-foot structure. The subject property is bordered to the east and south by one-family residences and on the north and west by industrial and office uses. The facility, the assisted living facility, which is residential in nature, is an appropriate transitional use between the LI and the R10 zoning districts, and this was pointed out early in the process by the town's planning staff, and they were absolutely correct. This is an appropriate use for this area. And you see the photos of the surrounding properties at Exhibit 6. The applicant is now proposing to construct a 3-story, 90,000 square foot assisted living facility with improvements, associated improvements. There will be, the facility will consist of 8 one-bedroom units, 44 friendship units, and 45 double, which are 2-bedroom units, for a total of 186 beds. The facility will offer a number of services to its residents, including 24-hour supervision, security, meal service, housekeeping, laundry and linen service, personal care services, scheduled activities, transportation services, case management, and special program features. Access to the development would be via a single ingress and egress driveway on Lake Avenue. The proposed development will include 75 parking stalls and the creation of a lawn and landscaped area, a swimming pool, walkways, and a sunken courtyard. Important to point out, there will be no driveway access to the facility from Park Avenue, and that's important to the residents that live nearby. The on-site sanitary treatment system will be included in a 2,800 square foot, 1-story control building that will be on site to accommodate the projected sanitary discharge from the development. And you can see the site plan at Exhibit 7, shows the relative location of the buildings. Also, there's a front elevation from Lake Avenue at Exhibit 8. There were prior proceedings here that, just by way of history, I know that's not germane to this board's decision, but I think it's important just to point out we were before the zoning board on March 8th. We went there to secure a height variance because of the way the code defines height. It's from the lowest point to the highest point. We have a sunken courtyard, which actually works against us because we have to add that into our height calculation. We also have a roof parapet that allows us to create some residential architectural elements that planning wanted to see. in order to make this building look more residential in nature rather than institutional. And those things are actually working against us and have to be calculated in the height. So at the end, we have a request for a 49-foot building, but the reality is it's still a 3-story building that doesn't measure anywhere near 49 feet. But if you measure from the bottom of the hole to the top of the top part, you have to add all of that, and you get this number that is 49. But when you see the elevations, you'll see that these are just 3-story buildings. They're roughly 30, I think Mr. Mamina will explain, I want to say like 37 or 38 feet in height, the bulk of the building. Also, we're before the board asking for a variance because we are proposing a single truck loading space where the code requires 3 truck loading spaces for a building of this size. The reason why we're asking for it is, quite frankly, we don't need it. We could build it. We could build 3 spaces there. But if we build 3 spaces there, that means we lose lawn, we lose an opportunity for landscaping, and it's just not needed. This is an assisted living facility. We get deliveries very infrequently, and 1 loading space is more than enough to accommodate the trucking activity on this site.
And you've
So
requested that variance already?
we requested that from the zoning board, yes. The application was heard on the 8th of March. I think I mentioned that, but just want this board to know that the zoning board closed the hearing but reserved decision pending this public hearing tonight and the town board's determination on the special use permit. So they're not going to decide until this board acts first. Also want to point out that we've had, both prior and subsequent to the zoning board hearings, we had meetings with the neighbors. We reached out to the neighbors, met with them to hear the concerns regarding the development, and many of the neighbors had concerns regarding visual impact to their property, privacy, lighting, noise concerns, building architecture, concern about secondary access on Park, which I mentioned, and then just traffic generally. The most recent meeting was held this Monday night at the Hot Dog Palace Diner. We had about 10 to 12 of the neighbors present at that meeting. We talked, we addressed the issues verbally, and in certain cases, Amber Court agreed to make some physical modifications to the site and to the site plan to address specific neighbor concerns. And if I can just summarize them very quickly, I don't want to take up too much time, the board's time, but the first thing that the Amber Court did is, we heard that there was a concern about what this building would look like from the surrounding residential properties. Amber Court engaged the services of Rich Ignatow, who will be speaking in a little while. He's a landscape architect. He proposed a very generous landscape plan, including a well-planted 6-foot-high, 36-foot-wide landscape berm in that 100-foot setback area that's between the building and the houses to the south. And that would help screen the building from view from the surrounding residences. They also agreed to remove and maintain the deciduous trees located along the southerly property boundary in accordance with the individual wishes of the most immediate neighbor. And what I'm saying there is that there are a number of deciduous trees right along our boundary with the houses to the south. Some of the neighbors want the large trees to come down. I'm not quite sure why, but I think there's a concern that the large trees will stop or impede or hinder the growth of the new landscaping. So they would like to see the big trees down. There are other neighbors who said, look, I like those big trees up in the backyard, leave them up. So what we're going to do is we're going to work with each individual neighbor. If they want the trees down, we'll take them down. If they want them up, we're going to leave them up. Another thing that was important was some of the neighbors were concerned about the location of this 1 truck loading dock and the kitchen facility of the building, which was located on the south side, which, again, was closest to the residences. It is 140 feet away, but it still was the closest. They asked, why can't you just flip the building around? Can you put the kitchen on the other side so that the trucks will be on the other side? The architect looked at that and came to the conclusion that, in fact, he could do that. So we are flipping the building, and I think that was something that made some of the residents happy. Now, the kitchen will be on the north side, and the trucks will be on the north side of the property. We agreed to incorporate additional residential design elements, such as additional peaks in the roof parapet to enhance the residential appearance of the building. We agreed to install a 6-foot-high solid fence made of either PVC or wood, as agreed to by the neighbors along the north side of Park Avenue to further enhance their privacy. We agreed, as I mentioned, not to have a driveway access to the site from Park. We also agreed to change the grade of the property to reduce the visual height of the building if it's feasible to do so. I'm going to let Mr. Mamina talk to that, but we are looking at that. Also agreed to eliminate a stairway bulkhead that's on the southwest corner of the building. If that does not violate the state building code and if it's acceptable to the local fire department, we don't think we need two, and we can eliminate the one that's closest to the houses. But unfortunately, despite the cooperation of Amber Court here, there are still a number of neighbors, which I'm sure you'll hear from tonight, that do not want to see this structure under any circumstances. And those people, I cannot accommodate. And then finally, Mr. DeRubius mentioned that because this is a special permit, there are specific conditions for assisted living. In Smithtown, there are 5. The site must be at least 5 acres in size. It must have at least 300 feet of frontage on a public street. The building must be set back 100 feet from residential property. Total building area shall not exceed 25% of the total lot area, and building height shall be as stipulated in the table of dimensional regulations, which is 35 feet, unless it's varied. We, of course, need to vary that one. So at this point, I'm going to turn over the presentation to Mr. Mamina and let him address those 5 factors, and we'll also...
Counselor, it may be better
sorry.
for all of us concerned.
Excuse me?
If we ask for the people who wish to be heard, and then your experts can address their needs, rather than each one make a presentation?
That's
Is
fine.
that
if you wanna do that.
satisfactory?
Yeah, that's okay. I just thought that it might be helpful to the residents to hear what he has to say about what's going on the property. But it's up to you. It doesn't matter.
But we've found, I believe the board will tell you that it's easier
Let's do it that way. It's
for
fine.
everybody to
Fine.
raise the objection. You have an expert to answer.
Perfect. That
Okay,
works.
so the first speaker would be James Russell. Is there a Mr. James Russell here? 145 Jackson Avenue South. Right here. You have 3 minutes. You have to-
Good evening, Mr. Vecchio and board. My name is James Russell. I don't live right where that site is going to be proposed. I live over in St. James. Surely I can't see it from my home. But the thing is, my son and his family live right there on Park Avenue. I frequent them quite often, 2, 3, 4 times a week, because I have 3 grandchildren of mine and I love them. The main thing is the privacy, okay? Now, there's a structure right there, a warehouse type of steel building structure, and that I'm assuming is about maybe 20, 22 feet high as it stands right now. The thing is, it's in plain sight. You can see this thing. It looks large. That's there. The home is there. That's okay. Now, the thing is, they want to put a structure in that's above the legal limit, shall we say. Right? I asked Mr. Vecchio and any of you board members, would you be kind enough, and I think you guys have the clout to do it. And this is, get a hold of, say, like the Wisconsin Fire Departments. Get one of their hook and ladders in there. Put it in where it's going to be. Raise it up to the height, the maximum height of this building. Stand in the bucket. And just come back to us and let us know what you can't see. All righty? I appreciate that much. And the thing is, I can see so much of it, of this white building that's there, and this is nowhere near the height of this other one. Granted, these people want to put in a nice facility and everything like that. God love them, and everything like that. Maybe they're working with the elderly people, looking, to accommodate and things like this and all. But there's no buildings that I know of in this Wisconsin area that's three stories high, plus an additional height to that. So this is our big concern. Just privacy for the people who've been living there for many years. It's a little community, it's well kept. And now, just to put it where you stand in your backyard and they can tell whether you have a hot dog or an ice cream in your hand in the summer. And I don't think that's proper. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Roseanne Mishler.
Hi, I live at 8 Park Avenue. I am across the street of where this project will be. I live right across the street from the Russells, who their backyard is greatly impacted by this. My concern, again, is the height. I look out my windows and I see over the trees that are already there. I can only imagine what these windows are going to look like, what this is going to do to my home living. I sit in my backyard, and there's a section there where I sit and I entertain and I eat outside and hang out with my neighbors, that I'm going to be able to see this building. The people in this building are going to be able to see me, my family, and my kids. It's just an invasion of privacy, I feel, and I feel that if the town approves this, they really have to accommodate us residents somehow, majorly, with trying to give us privacy. I mean, I know they spoke about the berm and the trees that they want to put. That's not going to cover the top of this building. The building is a big building, 90,000 square foot building. It's a big building. And I've never seen any in Nesconset. And I may have led a sheltered life, but I work for a cleaning company, and I know a lot of buildings and see a lot of big buildings. And this is a big building. It is a big building. So the height
But your
is...
chief concern is with the height.
The height is a major concern. Definitely, if this goes through, no cut-through ever, ever, ever on Park Avenue. I mean, that will ruin it. My concern is if the value of my house is going to go down. I pay a lot of money in taxes, and my taxes get raised by this. I'm going to be a very upset, resident of Nesconset. People want to keep young people on Long Island, and most of the young people are leaving and being pushed out, and I don't want to be one of them. I don't want my children to be one of them. So,
Okay, may I just be clear? We cannot, as I understand it from the reading of that rule, object to the location of this assisted living facility. We have no control over the height because that goes to the variance board. You understand that?
yes,
And did you appear before the variance board?
I was in bed sick.
Okay, all right.
So, well, like they said, that this is the variance isn't going to be, they were going to discuss it after this meeting. So
Yes.
the height is a major concern, and the cut-through. And if this is approved, what happens with, rodents that are in that area that's abandoned? And, there's just things that we're concerned about.
If the peaks were not on that building, then they wouldn't need the height, would they?
No, I think they would.
They
There's
would.
there's a tower there
Okay.
that is making it the 49, I believe the 49 square feet.
Is that true?
In
Is it
height.
the tower that makes it?
No, the tower is exempt because it is there for fire safety reasons for the stairway. What makes it the height is the 12 feet that's added from the rear of the building. They have a subterranean plaza with a swimming pool and outdoor eating. And by town code, we measure from the lowest point to the highest point. From the lowest point in that subterranean deck, or whatever you want to call it, up to the ridge, that's the top, excluding the fire stairwells, it's 49 feet.
What would be the height from the street level? How high would that be?
It's 37 feet. 37 feet around the building.
So if you were looking at the building from the front, it would be 37 feet.
That's correct.
From the rear, it goes to 49.
That's correct.
So from the side, it would be 49. From the south side, you would see 49? That's what you're saying?
No, if you look at the building, if you look at the
Okay.
building from
All right.
where the H is, where your finger is right now, that is 37 feet. If you move it to the courtyard right there, that will be in that area, that'll be 49 feet.
That's because there's a depression, Frank, correct?
That's right, there's a subterranean,
Okay.
there are stairways that actually go down into the area. There will be a swimming pool and outdoor, recreational area.
So the recreation layer is going to be recessed into the ground.
That's correct.
Why they need the major variance.
It's 12 feet below, it adds 12 feet onto the building height.
Okay.
I live, so I look out my windows, and that's what I go and see.
You'll see the back of the building,
I'm going to see the side of
side of the building.
Which-
Okay. All right.
which is,
We've got a lot of people to be heard.
okay, thank you.
Mary Ann Magona?
That's the wrong rule. You make a depression like that. Walk walk out of a basement. That's what they're doing. So they walk out of the basement, oh, but just like St. James Plaza. You know, you walk out of the basement, you gotta add that to your height calculation. That's ridiculous. You should add it from the street level.
Yeah, from the street level.
Yeah. And it's nice that they're reducing it, because they stay in the H.
But if there was just a three-story building.
Flat roof, they don't
It's a
need it.
flat roof.
Yeah, take the pigs off, they're fine.
Yeah.
That's what it says right here on the plan.
You have 3 minutes, Mr. Magona.
Thank you. Good evening. My name is Mary Ann Ragona, and I'm the CEO for the Long Island chapter of the Alzheimer's Association. We are one of 77 chapters across the country, and our Long Island chapter services Nassau and Suffolk counties. I am here this evening representing thousands of families who live in Suffolk County and who are coping with the challenges of Alzheimer's disease. I am speaking this evening in support of a special use permit for the proposed assisted living residence at Lake Avenue in Nesconset. I am also here to encourage anyone who is opposed to this special use permit to pay close attention to what I'm about to say, as every individual in this room this evening could potentially face the need to place a loved one in an assisted living residence. As the projected numbers of those at risk of getting Alzheimer's disease are staggering, it is my hope that this facility will be one of many constructed over the next several years in an effort to develop an infrastructure that will address the growing needs of our Alzheimer's population. I am leaving with you this evening our recently published 2011 Facts and Figures report. In 2003, when I first came to our chapter, we had 4.3 million people in this country with Alzheimer's disease. In 2010, that number was at 5.3 million, and now, in 2011, that number is 5.4 million, with 14.9 million unpaid caregivers. Currently, we have 77 million baby boomers in this country, and 1 in 8 is at risk for getting Alzheimer's disease. These are very real numbers, presenting very real caregiving challenges. Additionally, we have 200,000 individuals under the age of 65 with a diagnosis of young onset Alzheimer's disease. I have 56 cases of young onset Alzheimer's disease in my office, and tonight you will hear from a Smithtown resident with a young onset wife explain why Amber Court will be such an important resource for all concerned. Our job as a chapter and as a community is to assist our Long Island families with the challenges of caregiving for someone with Alzheimer's disease. There is a natural progression with caregiving. In the beginning, family members take on that responsibility. Then as the need grows, we attempt to bring help into the house. Not always successful because of the shortage of skilled home health aides. Then we move to assisted living and finally a nursing home. Right now in Suffolk County, we have one assisted living facility with assisted living program beds. This facility is located in Port Jefferson Station, and typically there is a minimum of a 1-year wait for admittance, and at times as much as a 2-year wait. Facilities like Amber Court offering additional outbeds are going to be needed all across Suffolk County, and the process of creating a model facility can begin right here, right now in Smithtown. The assisted living program was designed to serve as an alternative to skilled nursing home placement for individuals who historically have been admitted into nursing facilities for reasons that are primarily social rather than medical.
Ms. Mary Ann Regana, your time is up.
I'm sorry?
Your time is up.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you. Peter Van Delasky, is that, sorry? Your favorite person next to you.
Good evening, Mr. Vecchio, members of the board. I do not live in that area. I'm well south of Amber Court. Please note that I am not against any construction that assists the elderly, brings additional taxes, helps our economy with the creation of jobs, and bring income into our town. But in my opinion, the location of the site is really not appropriate. It's my understanding that there's an approximate cost of erecting this building of $17 million. It's close to a 90,000 square foot building. It's on a portion of Lake Avenue that's very short in relationship to Route 347 and Route 25 and Gibbs Pond Road. It has a full kitchen. There is space for 75 vehicles. One truck loading platform is allocated on this project. Three truck loading platforms are apparently required per the zoning regulation. There is only one entrance into this facility, and in and out. The documents that I've seen do not show any traffic control for that area. And again, this is a 24-hour, 7-day-a-week facility. Things don't stop in the middle of the night. There was no emergency backup generation shown on the documents either. There's an existing exterior swimming pool shown. One of my main concerns is that since there was an estimated 2-year time for the construction of this project, my question, and that is the noise that's going to occur during this period. This noise will affect the people that live in the area. Not only the people, but the children and also the pets will be affected. There is no guarantee that construction will not occur Saturdays, Sundays, nights, evenings, or holidays, furthering
that prevent working beyond certain hour or beginning before certain hour.
Okay, thank you, sir. The construction will also cause dust, which may cause respiratory illnesses in the elderly, children, and the people that are exposed to it. Clearing, grubbing of the land, and associated additional water runoff has the potential of causing new and additional flooding problems in the area. The impact of construction vehicles that'll make on the road on Lake Avenue, the dump trucks, delivery systems, cement trucks, masonry, will make Landing Avenue, will cause, in my opinion, damage to Lake Avenue, causing repairs to the streets, and probably at our expense. The delivery of construction materials, construction vehicles entering and leaving the site, contractors' workforce will definitely impact on local streets, affecting the intersections of Route 347, Gibbs Pond and Lake Avenue with Route 25, excuse me. As we all know and are aware, traffic in that general area is horrendous and worsens at rush hour.
Mr. Vandalask, I'm sorry to tell you that your 3 minutes are up.
All right, thank you very much.
Thank you for your input. Elena Arita?
Good evening, Mr. Vecchio and members of the board. First, I did not receive a notification letter, and I am the property that abuts this property. Secondly, when the posting came up for the variance, they posted the date of Sunday, March 27th. I know we don't meet here Sunday, March 27th. And that incorrect posting was both on Lake Avenue and on Neslo Drive. So had this community not been in contact with each other, some of us would not have come to this particular meeting. My issue specifically, because I am here, so undoubtedly I was notified outside of the legal ramifications, is the sanitary discharge plant that they plan to put up. Their plan says that they are going to process 21,000 gallons of waste a day. I have been told by the building department that Suffolk County only allows 15,000 maximum gallons of waste processed a day. I would like that issue specifically addressed because that's 25% more waste that Suffolk County says should not be done in our county. I didn't see any kind of camouflage plantings around this quite ugly sanitary waste plant, and it's very unsightly. I went to the area on Landing Avenue where I think it's the same system. I was told by the board, the building department, that it's the same system that's being applied for, and I stood there for quite a while. There was a hum that didn't stop. Now, if you just hear that hum for a few minutes, that's fine. But this is going to be a process that's going to be 24/7 for as long as that building stands, which is going to be a lot longer than I'm going to be alive. I don't see how any of us can live when we have the outside recreation that we do in the summer with that constant, perpetual din. It's going to drive us crazy. So my concern is the waste. And I'd like the board to be very, very diligent about addressing that. Thank you.
Thank you. I can't read the last name, Denise and Joe, 133 Lake Avenue. Could you give your name, please, sir?
Josco Matura, 133 Lake Avenue South, Wisconsin, New York.
Matura, M-A-T-U-R-A?
Correct. I live right across the street from the driveway where this proposed structure will be built. I have a few concerns. First is the size of the structure. This thing is going to be massive compared to the adjoining properties. Most of the homes that adjoin this property are single-family homes. So even though this is considered light industrial area, it is surrounded by families. We're not just anybody. This is our homes. This is where we live, where we eat, where we enjoy our backyards. The other issue I have, if this proposal goes through and they do build this thing, most of the families that do put their parents or somebody in a home like this, they're not going to come to visit them when myself, and my neighbors are at work. They're going to come when we're home. They're going to come on holidays. They're going to come on weekends when we want to enjoy our homes and our backyards and our front yards. The facility, as somebody stated, will be open 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. That's traffic congestion with staff, maintenance, delivery, and visitors. Lighting in the parking lots will be on all night long. Like I said, it's a light industrial neighborhood. Changing it to a special use will benefit no one but the facility. Light industrial can never be residential, yet they want to plan a 186-bed home. That's all it is. People will be living there, 186 beds. What does it benefit for our neighborhoods? Nothing. What does it do for our property values? Who's going to want to live in front, behind, or alongside a building this large? I guess my time is up.
No, you got a minute. You got a minute. I could tell him that.
The attorney said that this is an appropriate use for this area. I'd like to see where the attorney lives and see if a structure of this size would be appropriate in his front yard, his backyard, his side yard, and see how appropriate the land use would be then. 3 sides of this structure, east, west, and south, face one-family homes. Good for the owners of the facility, but yet not so good for us as the neighbors. I can just imagine what the sale brochure will say. State-of-the-art facility in a quiet residential setting, because that's exactly what we are.
Cheryl Taborski.
Good evening. I have many concerns, including pollution. There'll be sound from the air conditioners. The light pollution, I measured my window and calculated according to the 90 windows that will be facing my house. That's over 1,000 square feet of windows. The lights will be on 24/7, plus lights from the parking lot. There'll be odors for cooking 600 meals a day for the 200 residents, plus staff, which means there'll be odors from the garbage waste and possibly odors from the waste treatment center. There's already congestion on Lake Avenue. I'm concerned about the added congestion. There's also flooding on Lake Avenue when we have heavy rains. Several times a year, this must be pumped. They have a waste treatment center that will produce 20,000 gallons of water daily that has to seep into the groundwater. When it floods, with the water that's already there, plus the 20,000 gallons of water that has to percolate into the ground, plus there will be over 1 acre loss of woodland from the building and the paved parking lots, which will increase additional water that must percolate down into the groundwater. I am very concerned. I'm also concerned if something goes wrong with the waste treatment center and it's not producing clean water, that when it floods, we'll have toxic floods in our backyard. Lake Avenue has a 2.5-ton weight limit, so I'm wondering what delivery trucks will be coming that weigh less than 2.5 tons. There is deeded open space right adjacent to the building. I don't know what deeded open space means, but I don't know if they can stand on that property to build or can go anywhere near there, so I'd like you to look into that. It's an absolute eyesore. There's a picture in Newsday. It's completely out of character. If you look at the picture, you will see a tiny speck. That is a person. This building is completely out of character with the town of Smithtown. And according to, Smithtown Town Code in section 322-2, subpart B, the town code is to protect and establish the character and social and economic well-being of both private and public property. And additionally, in item E, it discusses the prevention of overcrowding of land or buildings and to avoid undue concentration of population. I believe that this Amber Court proposed facility is not aligned with the basic tenets of our zoning ordinance and should be rejected.
Thank you. Eileen Taborski.
Good evening. I'm here speaking for my mother-in-law who lives at 140 Lake Avenue. She's been living there since 1952. Her husband was a volunteer fireman for Nesconsa Fire Department for 27 years. I do have some concerns. Originally, Nesconsa Handy Pantry was built with only one entrance for the traffic, and after the shopping center was in, the traffic increased and they had to put in a second entrance. If this facility is put in after all these millions of dollars and they request an entrance onto Park Avenue, is the town going to deny it to them? The last added parcel that they're speaking of that was added in to make this a legal area, is that residential or is that light industry? That parcel has a house on it and it doesn't sound like it's zoned light industry.
We can answer that. Is it?
It's residential R10.
It's residential.
All right, I think that should be considered because it doesn't sound like that's another thing that would have to be a variance or a zone change to make it legal?
No. No, a special exception for that use is permitted in a residential area, because it's considered residential. Yes. Okay.
All right, I'm understanding that they have to have enough land to do this. It's all the other businesses in the area, it's zone light industry. All the other businesses in the area are small businesses. They're small buildings. They do not stay open 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, bringing traffic and noise and whatever else into the area. This facility is not going to stop. If it's approved, once it goes in, it's going to go on forever. At the intersection of 347 and Lake Avenue, there's numerous major traffic accidents already at that intersection. I know of 2 people on motorcycles that were killed not long ago. It seems like every month there's a major traffic accident at that intersection. And this traffic, if there's 75 parking spaces, those people going in aren't going to be parked there all day. It's people going in and out. There's going to be a lot more traffic. People that come to visit, they're not going to be staying there for 24 hours. They're going to be in and out.
Ma'am, your time is up, I'm sorry.
Okay, all right. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Jean Aarons?
Hi, my name is Gene Aarons. I live at 1 Park Avenue in Wisconsin. As one of my neighbors pointed out, I think there would be more residents here, but she pointed out that the variance sign had the wrong date for Sunday, March 27th, and I have a photograph of that. So I'd like to submit that to the board.
Sure.
If that's the case, I mean, you have a problem right now.
Yeah.
I see a pen.
We do have a problem.
I think that matter should be investigated, possibly by the district attorney's office. Someone intentionally trying to keep the residents from voicing their opinions in opposition to this project. As a person, I am not opposed against assisted living facilities. In fact, I do believe in their cause. But I am opposed to the location of this facility, just based at the fact that my property is on Park Avenue, and it's a 3-story building that you're looking to build here. It would be right in my backyard. Yes, I did meet with the members of Amber Court, and they were very nice, and they were willing to try to accommodate the residents. But I still do not, I think this is going to cause overcrowding, traffic problems, pollution problems in this area. I think the board should reconsider based on Chapter 13 of the Building Permit Review Board, 13.1, Section A, which states that to protect the established character of the adjoining properties, both public and private, and the neighborhood in which they are located, just on that rule alone. So please, if you will, consider this before approving anything. Thank you.
Thank you.
The setting was changed to a 4, you can see it.
Oh.
Absolutely. You can see where they changed the sign.
James T. Sheridan? Thank you.
Kind of cute, though. Yeah.
Sure. Wait a minute, sir, wait a minute. It appeared to be, it appeared that that number was changed. Yeah.
You don't know. Okay, I'm just curious. It was changed.
This is the rendering I did to give you guys the idea of the scale. This is height to scale. The house right here, that's my neighbor Jean's house. And there's no 2 ways about it. This thing is a monstrosity.
What's the distance between the two?
That's 137 feet, I believe.
Okay.
That gives,
Means he's doing 49 feet.
sorry.
See, it's not 49 feet, though.
Well, it actually is if you include the tower structure that they're excluding from the height.
Okay.
So it's 49 feet that we will see. 49 feet of light, sound, and, I don't want to do that to insult you. Light, sound, and smell pollution. I'll take the stand here so that I'm recorded. James Sheridan, 146 Park Avenue. I prepared a couple of things here that started off with a greeting to you, Mr. Vecchio. This proposed project is not what our community wants or needs. I respect the need for facilities that help the elderly, but this thing's massive. Like I said, light, sound, noise, air quality, pollution. Also, I'm not a fire professional, but it's my understanding that from the Uniform Fire Code, this building has to be accessible on 3 sides, which the recessed pool and patio area is close to 80 feet from the building, and the Wisconsin fire truck, the ladder truck, is 96 feet reach. Now, to reach the roof line up against the wall inside that, that courtyard area, it's not capable of doing that, which that's one of 3 sides that are accessible, but technically not. Also, that says that there has to be 2 entrances for this structure because of its size. I wrote this down here, a little disorganized, sorry.
It's okay.
The building building of this size should have 2 access points for emergency vehicles. Their plans show only 1. Let's see. Yeah, the whole public safety thing, we have a serious problem with traffic accidents in the intersection there, and more traffic, people speeding at night, hurrying to get to work maybe, blowing lights, and people are dying every month, fatalities. And that could be one of your public servants, fire, police, because we know that happens. What else? Yeah, fragile ecosystem. Paving over this area that has to percolate the water and filter the water that comes out of the sky and some people drink. You know, there are wells in the neighborhood that people drink from. And it's just going to damage everything that we stand for as a community. We want to have a nice, quiet neighborhood, and this thing's a monstrosity. So,
Thank you.
thank you for your time, Mr. Vecchio.
Thank you. Thank you. Gianna Visconti?
Good evening. My name is Jan Visconti. I'm an attorney with law offices at 162 Terry Road. I'm an elder law attorney. I'm an elder law attorney.
1 second, Mr. Sheridan, you said your address is 146?
146 Lake Avenue. It's the corner.
Okay, so it's not Park Avenue.
It's Lake and Park.
Okay,
Technically, it's 146 Lake. Yes, sir. Sorry about that.
okay, it's okay. Please.
Thank you. I'm an elder law attorney with a practice helping the frail elderly find places to live, find home care, find safe environments to live on. It's my experience that there is a desperate crying need for this kind of housing in the North Shore of Long Island. There are very few facilities. There's one small facility in Port Jefferson, and there's another new facility in Medford. The Medford is very successful. It opened a few years ago. There is now a waiting list years long. I know people who are #1 on the waiting list and have been #1 and have paid hundreds of dollars, even though they're poor, to be #1 on the list. They've been #1 since before Thanksgiving, and yet they are living in very difficult conditions. They are not able to find a place. There are many, many people like this who would be served very well by affordable housing for the elderly like this. I know another person who just can't afford to live in an apartment. She's living on a Social Security of $549 a month. She can't live anywhere else. She is served very well by an affordable assisted living like this. There are many people who could benefit from this.
We can't speak out of
Excuse
turn.
me, this is my time.
Yeah, okay.
This evening, the Alzheimer's Association submitted a position paper to you, and it was very important. It showed how Medicaid costs could be cut. It's much, much cheaper for the government to support these people in a facility like this rather than a nursing home facility, which is where they would otherwise be, which is at least double the cost. And in addition, I have found that there are several other facilities in the area or in other areas that are in residential areas that fit in beautifully with the community. Let me see. In Atria of Bayshore, which is located in a beautiful Victorian home community near the Great South Bay, Sunrise Senior Living in Babylon and Dix Hills are all in residential communities. They fit in very nicely. There's no problem there. It's a perfect complement to the community. It's a place where I would want my mom to go if she was frail, place I would want my grandma to go, and may I be so lucky to go there too, because it means I've lived a long life and I want to be cared for. It's
Okay.
important to the community.
Thank you. Camille Delis. Camille Delis. Okay. It is really too massive for that fucking property.
I live at 5 Ozone Road, the street that's right across from this here new proposed facility. I have a lot of concerns, and I hear the concerns of Alzheimer's and the chapter that is here this evening, and no one is demeaning the point that we do need facilities. It's a very important issue, and I know you want family members to be living in a facility, but the issue that is here, it's not for an Alzheimer's facility, but the issue is it's in the wrong area. They do need it in Nassau County, they do need them in Suffolk County. However, they have to be at the right location. I'm going to be retiring within the next couple of years, and I'm very concerned about the quality or the area of where people may be looking to purchase my home when I plan to put it on the market. I currently work in a hospital facility, and it is going 24/7. There's no doubt. To have a facility this size and they feel there's going to be minimal amount of trucking is ridiculous, because if they're going to house so many people, they have to eat. They have to have other supplies. So they're going to be coming in on a 24-hour basis, holidays and everything. It's definitely going to ruin our way of life. Again, for anyone who wants to sell their home, will the lawyer, or will we be able to get a real estate agent in to allow and show how much our houses are going to diminish in property value? And will the owners who want to propose this be able and be willing to give us a kickback of some monies that we're going to be losing on our properties? So I think all of this should be noted. We pay taxes. We bought our homes the way we were supposed to. And for it to be taken away from us because someone wants to build something so that they can have a very good investment, we're going to have a very poor investment in return in our housing. And it's just not a fair thing. Okay, thank you very much. Wait, one more thing I'm very concerned with.
We have some time left.
I'm very concerned about when they put it in the article that this is going to be considered affordable housing and that Medicaid is going to take a part of this. So I'm concerned with that. And also, when there's a lot of traffic with the workers, are they going to be widening Lake Avenue? Are they going to be putting in a bus system? Because people are bused. Whenever you see a facility, there are buses coming and going with the workers as well as the visitors. So there are great concerns. It's a very large facility. Something lovely and something nice in the area would be very well accepted. But for something on this scale, this is just really, it's very in poor taste, and it's just not a good consideration for us. Again, it's for the investor, and it's not for the people who are going to be living in it. Thank you.
Thank you. Robert Haggerty.
How you doing? My name is Robert Haggerty of 10 Shady Place, Wisconsin. My home directly faces the 49-foot structure they're proposing to build. 49-foot, 90,000 square foot structure. I've been part of the community on my block for 25 years. We're a tight-knit community, and a 49-foot structure, 90,000 square feet is just out of control. We're hearing people tonight talking about a 170-foot tower in their backyard. If that goes through, it's crazy. If you're going to put a 49-foot structure, and you can't sugarcoat it. 49 feet is 49 feet. From a pool, from a front yard, it doesn't matter. 49 feet is 49 feet, and the zone is 35 feet. So if you're going to start sugarcoating it, it's not right. It's 49 feet. They said they might be able to adjust things, but I don't think they can bring it down to where they can have a profitable company there to run it. I have a couple questions. One, is the application allowing the first offering of the residency of Smithtown residents? It's part of the code. Are they going to be asked, will they have first pick at this house? Or is it going to be people from other parts of the state, other parts of the country? I don't know. It's something to be considered. Covenant and restriction. We want it in the covenant restriction that there will never, ever be a curb cut on Park Avenue at all. We have to address the water problem. It's a definite problem there. Even though it's 6 years ago to put $700,000 water system in their drainage, it didn't work. Every time it rains, it's a hassle over there. Like a few people said, there's people over the last couple of years, every couple of months, someone seems to get killed on that corner. It's a horrible, horrible, horrible corner to cut through. We really, really would like to see a mechanical engineer's report referencing the sound test of the 39 units facing us on the south side of the building, the 93 windows facing us. It's got to be addressed. They flipped the, how about a rodent inspection and abatement during construction? When they put up the shore guard place right at the end of our road, I had rats in my driveway. I was catching rats on a regular basis and throwing them, actually in what their proposed site, a stone motor fence over there dead in traps. They come. There's rats in Smithtown. We know there's rats here. It's got to be controlled, and it's got to be part of their problem, not ours. The dark ski lighting on the entire site, it's got to be done, and the greenery boundary. When they proposed the landscaping for the buffer zone, it's got to be maintained. If trees die, they got to be replaced. It's not for a year, 2 years. It's got to be for a couple of years because it's going to be an eyesore. It's a 90,000 square foot, 49-foot building in our backyard, and it's disgusting that you're going to let this go there. Okay, I can't imagine, like you said before, putting your back, it's not going to go in your backyard. It will be in our backyard. 90,000 square feet, 49 feet high. It doesn't belong in Wisconsin. It doesn't belong in my backyard. It doesn't belong in my neighbor's backyard. Okay, let's put it somewhere else. Thank you.
I can't read the first name. Russell is the last name? Pegeen. Okay, sorry.
Pegeen.
Okay.
Pegeen Russell. I live at 5 Park Avenue, directly behind the site that they want to build at. My house will be about 156 feet away from the building itself. Any chosen window out the back of my house, I will be looking at a monstrosity of a building. I know it will probably be beautiful. However, it's everybody that will be looking at me. The tremendous impact on my privacy. That is my main concern. Everybody else's concerns are obviously my concerns. You are all elected officials. I think that because of that, you would take the time to put yourself in our shoes as residents to think how this is going to impact us. I don't know what pictures are up here. Is it a picture of the building?
You could turn around and see it.
Getting back to the meeting we had before, and I'll address this to Mr. Vecchio, when they asked if you would want the pole in your backyard, would you want this 156 feet away from your home?
I'm not answering the question.
Well, I appreciate that. Thank you.
Eric Russell?
Good evening, Mr. Vecchio.
How are you?
Thank you for the time to address the board. I also live at 5 Park Avenue. I want to address a couple things, and the main thing that I want to say here is 2 points. We don't oppose a home care living facility behind us. What we do oppose is putting the Holiday Inn Express behind my house. We're talking about 91 windows looking into my backyard. You know, everybody talks about looking at the structure. How would you feel about 91 people looking directly into my home? To the property line is 137 feet. You could walk 137 feet to the corner there, not even to the street, and that's directly into my home. Then you throw in lighting. At this facility, one parcel over, there's a one-story industrial community with lighting. Guess what? We see that clear as day, the lighting all night long. Now you're going to put lighting directly in our backyard from the rooms, from the ground, from everything, and impede us. The sound, the noise, the pollution, the traffic. Did you guys do any research in relation to how many children's bus stops there are on Lake Avenue right there? My 3 children, anywhere from 6 a.m. to 9 a.m. are at that bus stop every morning. So they talked about busing people in to work at the community, $8 to $10 an hour workers. That's a concern. The flooding is beyond belief at the corner of Park Avenue and Lake Avenue. When they talk about a couple times a year, no, it's every single time it rains. I wanted to go to a town E-code, section 13, chapter 1, about protecting the established character of adjoining properties, both public, private, of our neighborhood that are located. They're really, that's putting a 3-story structure is not looking at that. Prevent the depreciation of value of adjoining properties, both public and private, of our neighborhood in which they were located. There is definitely no doubt in everybody's mind that there is clearly going to be depreciation. Prevent overcrowding of land building. If you can't say that this is jamming a structure in there, you're crazy. That's absolutely crazy. Promote the health, safety, morale, general welfare of the community of the proposed building which is located? In no way, shape, or form. In no way, shape, or form. I want to emphasize that they made comment that they've met with the residents over time in numerous times. And to some extent, those meetings have been misled or misrepresented by Amber Court. They've numerous times told us that they're going to put, if you don't like it, we could take the roof off and make it ugly, or we'll stretch it out and push it into the 100-foot buffer behind. Well, guess what? We've researched all these codes, and it's not true. The structure is as the structure is. So the threats that come forth don't work. We met with them on Monday at the Palace Diner, as they stated. Somebody made reference that the sign had the wrong date. Amber Court specifically made, and I will quote, "I will go to Walgreens, get a magic marker, and change the date." If you call that somebody that you want to come in and put a structure in your backyard trustworthy, I got another thing.
Okay.
I mean, that right there is incorrect. So in closing, I'll say, Mr. Vecchio, those 91 windows are staring into my 3 children's bedrooms.
Okay.
And I will be a TV reality show for Amber Court.
Thank you. Is this Frank Bocchicchio?
I'm just going to switch your mic. So I shouldn't take that personally, huh? Good evening. Close enough on the name. My name is Frank Buquicchio. I also am an elder law attorney with Vincent Russo and Associates. And I'm here actually for 2 reasons, one of which I think we've heard plenty of today, which is the serious need for affordable senior living. So I'm not going to beat that one to death. The other point I only wanted to add excuse me, is that our law firm has had numerous dealings with Amber Court in Westbury in particular. And I just want to say that as an organization, they are run very well. The services that they provide are fantastic. And we have a number of clients who have benefited from the services of Amber Court in Westbury. So I think this facility would be just as superb.
Thank you. Keith Budka.
Hi, good evening. Yeah, we did meet with the owners. They seem quite workable. Most of the things I feel a lot of people, they addressed already. The only thing is I have a well where I live, and several other people do have wells. So the well water I have it tested regularly. It's better than the county health water, so I really don't want to switch. I'd be concerned about the sewage treatment plant. They said the water comes out crystal clear out of it. I'd be concerned about that. The smell, if it ever breaks down, that's another thing I'll be concerned about. Maybe they could put some kind of restrictions on it. Progress is progress. If it's going to get built, if they could work the color of the building, maybe not a bright yellow or something. They said they'd work with earth tones and stuff. And I would like to see some kind of covenants where they won't open up Park Avenue ever in the future. It looks like it could be very conveniently opened up for their access, but that, and also with the flooding on Park Avenue and Lake Avenue, I don't know if most of you know, every rain, Cheryl Taborski, it comes like 10 feet from a front door. There's like a foot and a half of deep water. So that's one thing maybe also to be thought about. And I think that was it. The biggest thing was the smell of the sewage treatment. It's right across, right at my front door is going to be the sewage treatment plant. I know they said they shield it and they put plantings around it. They make them look like houses nowadays. But like I says, I'll be looking at the front door at a sewage treatment plant. And maybe if they could put something in the planning department to dress it up, hide it, and also the smell. Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Supervisor, we're just going to have to pause for a second so they can change the disc.
Okay.